Hello, mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the First Circuit Podcast episode. Holy crap, Mechwarrior 5 is exciting again. I think we're on number 154 now, and today we're obviously gonna talk about the Mechwarrior 5 announcements that have been happening this week and that are gonna impact us next week already. Super exciting times. Also, there are some minor Mechwarrior Online topics, and when I say minor, I mean those are pretty big changes compared to what we've had for a year now, but still they're minor compared to Mechwarrior 5, so let's dive right into the most important topic. I have a new mug. It's really fancy.
I can't see
And
the
it's
mug
really
'cause it got
blurry.
blurry.
And it's blurry, god damn it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
Okay.
myself and my kitties.
Ah, cool. I need a mug with
okay.
6 of them.
And then after building up some excitement, let's dive right into the Mechwarrior 5 topic, shall we?
Sure. I'm Bob. How you guys doing?
Is your host. You should know us by now.
You should know us, Bob.
Yeah.
But hello, Bob.
Hey.
My name's Ian.
Hey,
Welcome
Ian.
to Mechwarrior.
How do you say your last name again? Desiree? Desiree? Drizit?
That's honestly up to you how you're gonna pronounce it.
Okay.
I've had so many iterations of it
Yeah.
now. It's whatever.
Yeah,
Well, luckily
I
first
go
name's
with
Ian.
Ian.
Yeah, luckily first name's Ian. I'm like, hey, Ian. That's all I gotta say.
And I'm the guy who says blarg, biter.
Bite her.
Blarg.
There we go.
Blarg.
Awesome. Alright, so you can probably already see, and if you're watching on YouTube, I have a bit of a teaser up for what we're going to talk about. But first off, the slightly smaller news, Mechwarrior returns to PlayStation.
PlayStation
that's
5 that no one can get?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have a PlayStation 5, you're going to be able to play Mechwarrior soon.
Yep.
Honestly, not that unexpected of a move. I think once you have the control pattern figured out for one game and it's working fine, it's a very natural move to port it to the other ecosystem, even though there's obviously a fair bit of work involved since PlayStation is quite different from Xbox. It still makes a lot of sense.
I think your cat wants to talk. I think your
my cat definitely
wants to say something.
With the peak of professionalism today. But
Yes.
yeah, I think this launch on PS5 and the DLC are both coming out September 23rd, so quite soon.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast as it releases this Wednesday. So, do we want to talk about the timing and how PGI has been doing this announcement first, or do we want to go through the actual announcement first?
I think it's Wednesday for you guys, but 23rd is a Thursday for me.
It's a Thursday for me.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday. Never mind. I'm
okay.
completely. Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah, peak of professionalism.
Yeah.
Yes.
On Thursday, save time in your calendar and don't take Wednesday off. Take probably Friday off realistically.
No, actually, a lot of people are
Releases
gonna.
late evening EU time anyway.
Yeah. A lot of people are gonna switch over their streaming schedules. I know, like a lot of people are flipping their Thursday to whatever game they're playing to be Mechwarrior 5. So a lot of people are gonna go do. At least I'm doing that. Nutty Rat's doing that. A lot of other good streamers for Mechwarrior 5 are too.
That's all. Let's quickly tease what we are getting in addition to it. Besides Mechwarrior 5 on the PlayStation 5, we're also getting the second DLC of Mechwarrior 5 alongside another free update. And as you could already see by this absolutely beautiful teaser frame, I love this so much. This is my new background, by the way. We're diving into the fourth succession realm.
Okay, you get a good cookie if you know what that's from. If you know what that's from there.
I mean, I can already sort of deduce with the symbol in the
Yeah,
background.
yeah.
And multiple symbols.
Exactly.
And I have heard about the lore at least a little bit, the joining of two big houses and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Certain event on Terra.
Here's a little question for you, Lord Nerd peoples. So, obviously they're trying to show a very momentous occasion to people being wedded, but they put a lot of battle mechs into that scene. I'm just like, if you're talking about like real life, if you're having like a presidential address, he's usually just doing it in front of the White House or something. There's
Yeah.
not a horde of battle tanks. If you're thinking of any nations where the leader usually will want to pose with a horde of military hardware, it's going to be somewhere like North Korea.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Is
also,
that, I mean, how appropriate is that to the law that you would really want to put battle mechs so front and center to this kind of
Not at
alliance?
all.
yeah,
The actual setting was on Terra, the
yeah,
wedding in one of the larger cathedrals in Europe. I forgot which one. And Comstar was quite strict about not allowing any kind of weapon on the world. So they definitely did not have battle mechs
Well,
at the
also
wedding.
too, you got to think though. Like I know, Diner has two griffins side by side in the throne room. But you're looking at, I mean, these things are what you got an awesome back there. You have an Atlas, 100 tons walking on tile. I mean, come on,
In a
basically,
historical cathedral
yeah,
built in 15 something.
yeah, exactly. That stuff is not going to
Yeah.
support the weight of at least what 50, 100,
Yeah,
150.
no.
I mean, Yeah.
250 tons right there on the left side. That's a lot of tonnage.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I'm just
know?
remembering like the royal wedding in the United Kingdom. Yeah, when we had the church, there's just so many officials and important people crowding out everywhere. There's so
Yeah.
many people wanting to see such an event, and in this situation, the mechs are crowding out the people. So
Ah,
Yeah.
good point. Good point on that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, this is not at all law accurate. What they did have was a group of Devian soldiers holding up like swords, like a sword archway for
Yeah.
Melissa Steiner to walk through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they didn't have weapons. That scene is actually quite funny because Comstar was so strict about weapons, but House Devian obviously wanted their ceremonial swords at the ceremony, so they had to submit them to Comstar. Comstar brought them on world, then brought them out for the ceremony, and as soon as Melissa walked through that archway, all the swords collected and back in the
What book was
storage.
this? What book was this?
I mean,
I don't know what book was this because I never read that.
It's the first book of the Warrior. No, it's the second book of the Warrior trilogy.
Really? Okay, I'll have to
We
check that out.
paused, maybe.
Damn.
It's a good
I'm
trilogy.
still surprised. Like, you should just have like a blunted swords or something. Just they look the part but aren't actually sharp.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Melissa Steiner, then you're just like, oh, I hope everything's going okay. All right. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, shit. Oh okay. I'm few.
Well, didn't she turn evil though? Like Katrina Steiner there. No, actually,
That's Melissa.
okay. That was Melissa. That's right. She turned to Melissa
She
Steiner.
turned into something unpleasant
Yeah. Very
at the
unpleasant.
end of her life.
That's a
Let's
lot of-
leave it at that.
yeah,
If you're
okay.
interested to find out what the unpleasantness was at the end of Melissa Steiner's life, go ahead and read the Battletech novels. They're really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
But okay,
Okay.
we are talking about a MechWarrior 5 DLC.
Enough lore.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a whole lot. How do we dive into this best? Let's just go through the feature lens. Obviously, the title feature is a new epic linear campaign. Fight in battles set during the famous Inner Sphere conflict and experience firsthand the frontline of the Fourth Succession War, with 14 new campaign missions featuring unique mechanics, offered missions, custom dialogue, and cinematics. Super cool.
Or Succession War.
Yes.
That's interesting though. Why would they do that?
It's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the
Yeah.
conflict that most Battletech fans are by far the most familiar with.
True.
It's
Yeah.
very iconic. You have all the major factions involved. In this case, you can play with the Federated Commonwealth, which was already happening on the career mode map. So now there's a reason why suddenly Stein and Devian cease to exist, and you have this new faction popping up. Makes a lot of sense to pick this conflict, actually.
True.
Yeah.
True.
A big question in my head is sort of wondering like how this actually plays out. Is it a separate menu option at the beginning where you just select, start this linear campaign, and it's all very controlled and regulated that you're like a new character even or something, and it's all just a linear experience. You're put into XYZ mechs. You don't have to bother with all the kitting your mechs out and this, that, and the other. You can very much control what's going into the battles and stuff, and it's all very much secluded away. Or is it something that happens if you go late enough in the timeline in the sandbox campaign, and you just have to go to the right node to start off the chain of events?
That's interesting though because I know there's a lot of mods for MechWarrior. where they have like clan weaponry and stuff like that. So for a person that's actually already passed this and been playing that, is it gonna be that can they use their clan stuff? Can they use their mods that they have?
All
Let's think.
depends on how they
Mhm.
implement it. As Spider said,
Yes.
like you have multiple options there. I would expect that to be playable even in your sandbox career mode game. Big question is, it's probably gonna be storyline that pops up like the Hero Max storylines we've
Mhm.
had in the past DLC.
Yeah.
Main question is, are you gonna be able to take your own mechs into this, or are these actual linear campaign missions where we have a set lens that you're gonna have to deal with?
I hope it's not like that because it doesn't put you into like playing the game, like as far as like ambiance like of it. It's like, okay, here's your guys and that's it. Go battle it out. It's like, well, I want to play my own guys that I have a invested interest in, that I spent weeks playing. I have all these different mechs and everything. So I hope it's not like that. I hope it's
Yeah.
not they just pop you in there.
So I'm actually I'm kind of more positive on the side of just you being somebody else for a change, because the title, it's called Legend of the Kestrel Lancers. Kestrel Lancers, that sounds like an actual military unit, probably of like Davian's side.
Yeah,
And uh, it being your legend, so to speak, sounds like you're actually being part of the military. You're not just a hired mercenary,
that might be it. Yeah, yeah, true, true.
So yeah, the title also puts me in the shoes that it might actually be you're playing someone else rather than your own work unit. I could, however, also see you being hired to fight alongside the Kestrel Lancers, and that's how they justify it.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
Because you're gonna be fighting with a lot of friendly mechs and friendly units on the battlefield, which is probably the most exciting thing about this whole thing. With the all-out war, the next feature set, wherever they are. All-out war scenarios with large-scale, expensive combat and 7 new quest lines, 10 new battle scenarios throughout the Innisphere. And if you guys remember me from earlier when we talked about the Hero Mech quest lines, my by far favorite mission was the Final King Crab mission,
Mm-hmm.
where you just had combat on battalion scale rather than just your usual lance or company scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it felt amazing to play. This is exactly what I wanted. So that's the main reason I'm super excited for these all-out war scenarios. I have super high hopes for those.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
5 new types of missions: Scorch Earth, Objective Parade, Target Kill, Guard Duty, and Battlefield. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited about it. I'm just curious about how they're gonna pop you in there.
The way that they list these as two separate things, just there's an epic linear campaign, and then, oh, by the way, there's also these scenarios. Campaign is a certain word, and then scenarios. Like scenario is sort of the quest lines you have in the open world experience,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
campaign could very well be an offshoot of the campaign, a different separate experience. That's at least the implication I get. But yeah, I very much so, at least, that this new linear campaign and the new scenarios will include a lot more of these big battle scenarios.
Yeah. And we're obviously gonna talk about it maybe next week, depending on how much we get to play, maybe in 2 weeks. But once the DLC releases, we're gonna tell you all about how awesome or underwhelming it is. Let's hope it's not the latter this time around.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, moving on, we have the new procedural mission variants. Yeah, Battlefield is kind of what I'm hoping might be one of those larger scale combats for procedural missions. So we have that outside of the 10 battle scenarios in the campaign. Mega City Urban Combat. I saw the trailer and I just started squeaking and giggling. Let me actually open it up in the Micro 5 trailer here if it loads.
Back more, back more.
There
Yeah.
it
There,
is.
there we go.
It doesn't really look like I mean, it looks like a couple buildings, and that's about it. Really, it doesn't really look like
It's sort of
houses and stuff like that, and businesses all already.
it looks like
Yeah.
a regular city, just it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least when looking down like this.
And the reason why I'm so giddy about this is it's the Mechwarrior 4 city complex. And that's one thing that I was completely missing in both Mechwarrior 5 and the HBS Battletech, like those just giant cities with super narrow streets and super limited field of views. Obviously, this screenshot makes this look really open. I
Yeah.
hope there are also settings where it's like the actual Mechwarrior 4 city, where you just where I can't shoot around the corner and all those good things. Yeah, I have high hopes for this. I remember Mechwarrior 4 taking a light mech, jumping up on those buildings where you needed multiple steps to actually get up on the taller ones, and then just harassing people from up there. Yay, good times.
A lot of those buildings though do look quite just tall, that they're just sort of basically big cliffs.
Yeah.
You need a lot of JJs to get on
Yes.
top of them.
Yeah. That's also why I'm hoping that they're not this far spaced apart in other parts of the map. Because when it is far spaced apart, you're probably not gonna climb them one by one.
I mean, the old cities or the regular game, basically with MechWarrior 5, the buildings are beautiful. They have beautiful signs and billboards and furniture and stuff like that. And I don't see that here. I don't see
Furniture?
yeah, they have furniture. Like if you actually use your controller and go around free mode, basically use your controller, go around free mode, you can actually see what they have furniture on the patios and everything. It's actually pretty cool.
Oh, on patios. Okay, I was
Yeah.
like,
Well, not
I
inside
took
the building,
apart
not
a lot
inside.
of buildings. They don't have furniture
Well, not
inside.
inside the building, but on the outside, and I don't see that here. So I'm kind of
The level of detail is not
yeah,
too bad. Like you can see
yeah,
little bollards all over the place with the lights, some what was it? Things blocking the streets,
yeah,
little
yeah.
cars and things. Like the level of detail is not too bad, I don't think.
Because I don't see that here
Um,
though.
my primary concern or thing to mention, at least with the city fights, is just in regards to playstyles. Um, what is the average kind of ranges and how will the average engagements play out when you're doing a city fight? Just in the sense, for MechWarrior 5, I always sort of like taking a Lancelot with a lot of long-ranged weapons. If you have a whole bunch of PPCs, you can sort of move from hill to hill and snipe everything to death from extreme range and be very cautious with your armor. But a city fight like this, vehicles can very quickly come around a corner and instantly unleash their alpha salvos against you,
Yeah,
at least on the higher
yeah,
difficulties, and that would be just very aggravating. And if you're kitted out for long range, at least like my lancers were, you'll still shoot them down quite quickly, but it's just you'll have a shorter time before they're right on top
Yeah.
of you.
To be fair, city fights are supposed to be brutal, so
Yes,
I'm actually
yes.
hoping they're gonna be a bit more brutal. And maybe PGI even did some balancing and adjusted the number of enemies, so we actually have a difficulty adjustment. But I'm not putting my hopes up too high on that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to be bled dry by a new map that I pay, map I paid money
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. And then you go back and have to disable the DLC because the maps are just so annoying to you.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
Mr.
only time will
Larus.
tell. There's
And
a
yeah,
whole bunch of different new biomes, of course, not just the mega city urban combat.
yeah.
Was it jungle,
Mm-hmm.
Stormline desert biomes, and the new garrisons? Well, at least that are being used in the tile sets.
Yeah. And the new Mech Factory featured Mechwarrier's first indoor play space. I don't think we are seeing that in the trailer anywhere. We're definitely seeing this very cinematic and beautiful.
That's probably the
live
jungle.
here.
Yeah,
That's gonna be the jungle. Yeah, I just love the setting.
yeah, it looks good actually. Yeah,
And then this kind of looks like it could be Terminal. Oh, there's a bit of
Dreamlight.
the
Yeah,
Mech Factory.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought
Yeah,
there was a bit of it. Yeah,
yeah. It
But
doesn't look
yeah,
too bad as far
overall,
as.
sadly, this trailer is it's a decent marketing trailer, but it's not a good feature showcase. We're probably gonna get feature showcase by the time the DLC releases.
one would hope. I mean,
You would hope, and if not,
th-
you're gonna get them on day one from your usual YouTubers.
Yeah.
because this is I liked, I think what they did highlight Sean Lang to sort of explain the new DLC features and stuff, and they'll probably do that again if he gets a chance to get his hands on the game early. Because the, the trailer's not bad. It is quite well produced because we assume it's probably worked on by the marketing company, with the EG7.
Mm-hmm.
But it is always focusing on just showing sort of the mechs in combat, a lot of just running around and shooting each other. And whilst that's great to just sort of show off the game, as its general concept, this is of course. I already know how the mechs run around and shoot. This is
Yeah,
the DLC. This is for people who are already sort of a bit familiar with the game.
How many mechs were inside the mech bay? Can you go back on that? Can you check and see how many mechs were in
that's
that?
probably the Mech Factory where you
Oh,
just
okay.
hit a whole
Yeah.
production line.
I was getting giddy because it's like, oh, look, a Union dropship. Finally.
If only that would be a title feature of new DLC if we could get a
Yeah,
like a
true.
dropship. Or dropship battles, actual dropships on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at some point. I have still hopes.
Turn line.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the trailer, it looks really cool, but as all of the EG7 partner trailers, it's very much looks like it's featured towards new players, getting them in and actually paying money for the fancy new game and stuff. And it's less about showcasing this particular DLC.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're getting a small teaser for something we're gonna talk about in a second.
Because there's things just like the first bullet point they have is this linear campaign, and we don't actually hear anything about the Kestrel Lancers. You know, it's their legend, but
I
we
never heard
don't
of
have
them
any
actually.
voiceover of someone. I'm just saying from the marketing standpoint, you're doing the legend of the Kestrel Lancers. You should still have someone saying, "Oh, I knew the Kestrel Lancers when I was a kid. They did so much good stuff." You know, generic trailer stuff.
Yeah.
And you could see a little bit of how the campaign will actually play out, just so it's like, "Hey guys, look, there's a whole bunch of story stuff." But no, they're only selling you on the mech combat.
Well, we did see a glimpse of the holo table showing a dropship and a planet. Yay.
You know,
Yeah.
look,
Holo
I
table.
I just checked for Kestrel Lancers. There's nothing in Sarna. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
So it's
apparently
just
apparently they're a unit that exists, but I also haven't heard of them before. They have their own logo, which is supposed to be a lance. People on Twitter are talking about it because it looks less like a lance and more like a magic wand. But apparently they're a unit that actually exists. I just
really
couldn't
no.
find
Actually,
them.
I can't find them. Actually, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're not
There's
on Sana, so as far as I'm concerned, they don't exist.
yeah, exactly.
They're not notable enough for even Sana.
I know. There's a second Cirrus Lancers, which are okay, nicknamed Kestrel Lancers. Okay, second Cirrus Lancers. They're from they're ex SLDL. Sorry, I'm
Yeah, our
tired.
League Defense Force.
Yeah, Force. They were in the First Succession War, Fourth War, 3039 Invasion, Clan, Civil War, Jihad. So yeah, okay, they do exist. That's their nickname. Okay.
Okay. Should have done more Googling then.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last point, just to finish off the DLC paid features, 23 new mech variants and patterns to collect and customize. I'm actually gonna have to open up the page on the Mechwarrior 5 thing because I believe they have a list of the variants here. Couple more Royal Battalion mechs, like the Star League mechs. A couple more advanced tech mechs, but for the most part, nothing too exciting, in my opinion. Just a bit more variety to a game
Yeah.
that needs a lot more variety.
Yeah, true.
And insert the usual issues with whenever you add in more variants, there'll just be some variants will be strictly better, and it'll be hard to
Yeah,
find the exact ones you're
absolutely.
looking for.
Like, especially with the Star League variants, obviously they're better than everything else since they have double heat sinks and endo steel very often. But yeah, no new mechs. I know some people are bummed out about that, but I feel like a campaign or like some story, some good writing is what the game needs more than new mechs. And
Definitely.
Yeah.
hopefully this DLC can provide that.
One thing we haven't gone into just on regards to the new features is those game modes. Just speculating about how each one sort of pans out. Like, so what was it? Just going through the list, we have Scorched Earth. I'm assuming you have to go around the map and destroy a whole bunch of buildings before the enemy arrive, or something like that.
Yeah.
We have to go quickly before they destroy buildings, something like that. Objective raid sounds like the one where you just go and destroy buildings, but you perhaps destroy more buildings. Targeted kill. Now I know there's already like killer VIP.
Yeah.
This is just might be on a bigger scale or something. Now this one, the next one is why I particularly wanted to bring this up. Guard duty.
Hmm.
Are we getting an escort, an AI,
Oh,
protect an AI game mode?
that might be it. Yeah, or
I
protect like a.
don't think so.
Well, I don't think they could probably do a good AI for
I
for
don't
like a
think we're
vehicle.
getting. I'm thinking this is just a slightly different defense. Also, with
Yeah.
all of these, I wonder if maybe these are the same kind of missions we already have, just set in the Mega City Urban Combat. Because
Or in the
that's kind
bigger
of what it
scale.
looks like. Because if you look at this, experience intense urban combat, blah blah blah, featuring 5 new procedural mission variants. Like you could read
Yeah.
this as these are missions exclusive to the urban city. So maybe they're just renamed. So when you get to a planet, take a look at the missions, you can immediately tell, okay, those missions are urban combat. I don't like these. I'll skip them. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just that.
Yeah, it's just a
Could
bit
be.
confusing since they will effectively just be the same old missions you've done before. And you don't need to add extra, nomenclature to the game.
Like
I
different, I
forget,
guess.
when you're preparing for battle, doesn't it sort of say the biome you're going into?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Because really, if you're worried about people not being sure you're going to urban combat, you just say biome, urban, urban combat, and you'll be good to go. You don't need separate mission names.
Well, if you mouse over planets, I don't actually know if that's base game by now or if it's a mod, but there's an option to see what missions you have on the planet. I believe base game shows you some information about what mission types you have, and then there's a mod that shows you the details when you mouse over.
Hmm.
So you don't have to travel there to figure out, oh shit, everything's just open combat.
Yeah. To also reinforce your point, Ian, when we go to the MW5 Mercs website, they say 3 new biomes, and under Megacity, it's experience intense urban combat, blah, 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 and new mission objectives. So, yeah, again, it seems very much so that they're implying these are specifically only for megacities.
Yeah. So let's hope they are actually adding something new and these aren't just renamed existing mission types. But hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good though.
I mean, all the screenshots are absolutely fantastic.
Oh, they're the buildings. Okay, I see buildings now.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna say
I'm a
the
bit
Mechwarrior
mixed.
5 Mercs page has come a really long way since its
Mm-hmm.
humble beginnings.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does. Yeah, it did.
I'm a bit mixed about having new mission types or objectives, sort of only for mega cities, just in the sense if the scripting is better and have much better missions, then you kind of wish those new mission types were for all tile sets. Or alternatively, if they happen to script them not so well for mega cities, I mean you're stuck just having worse game types on that tile set. So it's win some, lose some, but you don't know until it finally comes out.
Yep. Doing a whole lot of speculation today, and in less than a week, we're gonna eat our words. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll be more info at some point released by PGI so people can make more informed decisions.
True, true.
Yeah. Again, never pre-order. Wait at least for day 1 and check the first stream or so, and then make an informed buy.
Because I don't think there's any particular benefit to pre-ordering. You might as
No,
well
I
wait
don't
and
even think you
see.
can pre-order. Let
Nah,
me
I tried.
double check the Epic page.
I, well, the Epic page probably not, but
Yeah, you can put it on your wish list, but there's no pre-order.
yeah,
Which I actually like. Yeah. Especially since it's only a week, it wouldn't make sense to put on a pre-order and potentially offend people and deal with all of that.
all
Oh,
that
I'm disappointed. I
backlash.
want a refund.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
Much
Good,
simpler,
good
much
choice,
better.
PGI. Good choice. Yeah, how would you think it's gonna be though? The new DLC.
I think it's gonna be great.
Not, not how much money?
$20 like the last one.
$20. Yeah, that's what I'm
Same
thinking
amount as
too.
last time. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's
2024. You know, around there.
I think looking at the feature set, it looks kind of similar in size to the last DLC. On some fronts, it's a bit smaller. On other fronts, it's significantly larger, like the new biomes and stuff.
Hmm.
I wouldn't expect them to vary prices a whole lot. I think it's always good for the customer when you have a base game price and then you have a DLC price, and all their DLCs are roughly the same size and roughly the same price.
Yeah. Now here's a little bit my thought process. I feel like the extra gear was kind of nice in the last expansion set, but I personally, of course, much prefer the idea of sort of having a campaign, something much more you want to give you a reason to come back and experience something fresh,
Hmm.
rather than hoping to find just the right mech variant to have the right equipment. Um, And if, of course, the story content is really good, that's a really good DLC. Much more valuable to me than having the option for chem lasers. The only thing is, of course, is it's Mechwarrior 5, and we've seen how their storytelling has been in the past. So it's a big question of, with all this extra time and effort and whatnot put into it, what have they learned since last time with regards to storytelling?
Yes. Yeah. And that's probably the main reason why, even if they had a pre-order, you shouldn't do it. Wait for day one streams and check out like at least the intro to the campaign and see how terrible or not terrible the writing is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well,
Okay.
We'll
Let's
see. Let's
quickly
dive
go
in.
over the.
Yeah.
Sorry
Good.
about.
No, let's dive into what you're talking about.
As a
Yeah.
free game update.
Yeah.
Free game update. New features to the base game. If you don't buy the DLC, you're still gonna get these new features. And I mean, this is kind of boring. Let's skip to the most exciting features. Mech switching.
Hold on, melee cam.
You can switch to your AI controlled mechs now, which is such a big deal. If your AI gets stuck, you can switch in to get them out. If your AI is doing dumb stuff, you can go into their mech and help them out. You can use one of your AI mechs to scout ahead and then switch back to your actual battle mech and do the combat.
Yeah.
If you're close to dying, you can switch to an AI mech and keep alive that way. Really cool feature.
Yeah,
I'm very much excited.
I'm impressed with that too. Actually, that's really cool. As far as melee combat though, someone did ask me, wanted me to go and put the question out there. It's for the AI for the melee combat. What are they actually going to have an AI where it actually shoots, and then once he either overheats or too close, he's going to go ahead and just automatically punch somebody, or how's the AI is going to work? What?
I was just. I had a plan. I wanted to completely ignore this and make people mad and upset when they see the episode. But fine, let's talk about melee combat.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Melee combat.
Oh, go ahead.
Obviously,
Go ahead, Biter's phone with your mouth. Hold on.
It's a big
No.
point.
Let Ian go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big selling point in the feature. If you look at the trailer, it's a really big thing. If you look on Twitter and all the platforms, melee combat is probably the most talked about. Just to real quick give you an impression how it's going to work. You're going to have a quote-unquote weapon system. I assume you can equip it in your mech, and I assume there are going to be different versions of the weapon system that increase or lower your damage for more weight, potentially. And once you're in mission, you have a weapon system that has a really, really short range. In the PS5 trailer, we saw 7-meter range for that. And you just click it and your mech does the animation. And if an enemy is within 7 meters, you're gonna punch them.
You froze. But yeah. The only question I have is just AI and how the AI is going to respond as far as how close and what weapons it uses and all that kind of stuff. Are they going to do a good job on AI scripting for that? I mean, I like the idea. I think it's pretty cool. But can you land your punches in nuts, or can you have a bunch of locusts just go up to an Atlas and Atlas can't do anything except for probably kick? But
I'm actually gonna go a tiny bit further. Will the AI even melee?
Yeah, true.
I wouldn't guarantee that.
So
AI
or how it would like
I hadn't noticed the fact it's a weapon system, and that of course, in the trailer, where is it that it shows it's a weapon system? Like, where have you picked
the PlayStation 5 announcement trailer. That's where we got the. I don't know if we talked about it last episode, but the melee was kind of spoiled because the Mechwarrior 5 release trailer on PlayStation 5 had a teaser of like light hand, pew 7-meter range. I closed the tab. I'm sorry, but you can go back and check on that. I know Sean from NGNG did a video on that, and
they did spoil it by accident.
Yeah.
So that's independent from AI and stuff. But go ahead first.
All right. So what I'm thinking is, if it's very much treated as a weapon system, it's something you have to actually equip in the mech lab. There might be a slot or something associated with it. You have to find the right equipment to actually melee. In regards to AI, they will only melee if they actually have the weapon system equipped. And the question is just how many mechs on average will actually be equipped with melee. Like in some sense, I don't think it makes much sense for Jaeger mechs or things like locusts or whatnot to have melee equipped. I don't think even PGI would have the animation for it or something. So it's only those probably that can actually throw a fist and that look kind of reasonable doing it will
Yeah,
probably only have a chance of having these equipped.
that's a really good question. I could totally see them doing not just arm actuators like punches, but also putting in
Instead,
like a shoulder check or a kick potentially. But from
yeah,
the what we saw in the trailer, we just saw the hands, so no idea what else we're gonna get. Probably
like
just the hands.
all I've seen is the hand thrust because
Yeah.
basically in all effects, to all intents and purposes, it kind of feels like in Call of Duty when you press the melee button, you quickly just
Yes,
lunge out with the knife. It's just
very
in this
much.
case, you quickly lunge out and hit them with the fist. And I have a feeling that is how it will pan out in gameplay. Just up close, you can probably just spam the melee button and go bonk, 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 and they'll die. Um,
Yeah.
and uh, who knows if PGI will actually test this and balance it properly. But my feeling is probably that most AIs will still just try to shoot at you, and that if you equip too many with melee, they will just bum rush the player and just dump, bump, 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 possibly kill you, which would be incredibly silly.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's an important thing about the Mechwarrior 5 AI. They're always trying to get into the range of the shortest range weapon they have.
Hmm.
So if you give them a small laser, they're gonna try to get within 90 meters, even if most of their weapons are LRMs. Like the awesome
Yeah.
8R,
Yeah.
it's just gonna go melee range and not fire as missiles. If you give them a weapon that has 7-meter range, I really hope they fix that particular issue and the AI is not just gonna go within 7 meters all the time.
True.
Yeah. I mean, my interpretation of it just being like the knife in Call of Duty is just sort of, I don't particularly care for the knife in Call of Duty. The reason why it's implemented in those games is just that close combat, like point blank combat with shooters, is just really awkward. And the reason why the knife is a one-hit kill is it's to get that over with, to get that state done. And it's just a way to try and tidy up situations and make it so that you're not stuck there just awkwardly reloading and spraying bullets at someone at point blank range. Um, but whilst mech combat looks really cool and like Harebrained Schemes BattleTech, because you can have really good animations and the
Yeah.
opponent, reels and recoiled, like it really feels like there's two big giant mechs hitting each other, and you could properly balance. You're spending your whole turn doing melee. Um, but in MechWarrior 5, everything is done live and it's all done first person. And so you're just gonna have this kind of awkward jab and you just hit the enemy and their health box will just be a
Yeah.
little bit more. You just gotta keep punching them in the CT until they die or whatever. It's just I don't particularly care for the concept.
Yeah.
They got to
And
make
yeah,
it good. They got to make the animation good to make it sellable, basically, as far as people liking it. I just hope it's not
well,
like the infantry, where like it was like, yeah, infantry, and then it's so underwhelming. You're like, I'm just gonna take this infantry out. They do nothing, that
yeah.
type thing.
Yeah, let me dive into some of the concerns I have because I fully expect this feature to be like infantry. Going back a couple of years, and by a couple of years I mean basically a decade, MechWarrior 5 is not the first game that had melee combat in the MechWarrior series. You had
Mm-mm.
MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries MechPack, which came with the battle armor, which like elementals and the inner sphere equivalent of that. And they had a weapon system called Claw, which is exactly what we're seeing in MechWarrior 5. It was a 5 or 10-meter range weapon that you just press the button, you got an animation, and you did damage at 7 meter. And playing that, I'm very much afraid that MechWarrior 5 is going to feel super underwhelming to people getting their hopes up super high because 7-meter range, you need to keep that in mind. If you play MechWarrior Online or MechWarrior 5, even the 90 meters for a small laser kind of feels like melee range. 7-meter means you really need to stand on top of the enemy to be within that kind of range. And I wonder if people are just gonna feel frustrated rather than satisfied because they punch stuff, they think they're in melee range. Like if you look out the cockpit, there's a mech right in front of you, but you're at 10-meter range. You punch and you miss and you can't hit it. And then you walk into them and you click and the animation takes half a second before it applies damage by the time that mech twists their torso slightly and you're out of range. And that's the main thing I'm concerned about with melee combat.
Yeah.
We don't know how good their playtesting is. We don't know how satisfying this thing is gonna feel, and I'm very much afraid it's gonna be an underwhelming feature. Also, keep in mind we don't have charges. We probably don't have kicks. And like charging in BattleTech is the most efficient, or maybe not efficient, but the most effective kind of melee. Just charge at an enemy, do massive amounts of damage at the price of damaging yourself.
And knock him down.
That's not something you can implement with this system, because a charge depends on your speed, depends on your how far you run and stuff like that. And even if you charge at an enemy and press the button, it's still just going to be normal punch, and your speed doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think part of the thing is as well just how you plan to actually do your engagements. Say for the sake of argument, I'm like one of the PPC awesome. For the most part, I'm planning everything to be around just PPCing things at range. And that's my entire game plan. There's just going to be swarms of enemies coming at me, and I'm going to swat them down with my PPCs from a safe distance. What does the small laser in the head of the awesome actually add to my gameplay? Well, it gives me a backup weapon, but I'm not always happy when I'm actually using the small laser. I'm just like, someone got close enough. Please just go away. I want to PPC things at range. Um, and the same sort of goes for me oftentimes with how you could take a brawler with SRMs, but getting close to the enemy means all of them can shoot you. And you have to get really close to the enemy to use melee. I don't really like building my battle plans around throwing myself into the middle of the enemy force with how many enemies there are in this game. I always want to have at least options for longer range. And if even if I have the option with this awesome to punch something, it's just more of a backup weapon, something just like go away. Then I'm not really building a battle plan around it. I'm not going to
Yeah.
make a melee mech.
Yeah, your comparison to Call of Duty, I think, is actually really fitting. I think that's very similar how you're gonna use the melee in MechWarrior 5 effectively, just as a, oh fuck, they got close, might as well punch them and hope
Yeah.
it kills them.
One thing as
And
well, because it's a punch rather than like a kick or something, is um, I'm taking a mech with lots of ammo. I run out of ammo. Oh, it'd be great. At least have something to back up. I can punch enemies to death. I can feel desperate. But the thing is, it's always stuck in the arm. Your ability to punch is tied to the arms, and the arms are what falls off first. So melee, even if you want to rely on it, is quickly, is one of the parts that you quickly lose. So you're taking a risky play style where your ability to fight, you're building all around this play style, and it just gets shot off first.
yeah, reminds me of the Masked which I've been running so much. Kind of the same playstyle.
I
Yeah.
hope they have the hatchet man. I hope they pop that in sometime with a hatchet and with melee combat. I think I'll like that a little bit better, or be more excited about melee basically. Because punching is cool, don't be wrong, but I mean the thrill of having a hatchet, blow through the head. It was just
I could totally see them adding weapons.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the actuators most likely being a slot in your arm anyway.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason why they couldn't add weapons. Besides, of course, it's gonna be expensive to do all of those animations for
Yeah.
all the mechs and
Yeah.
all the weapons, and that's gonna scale up real fast.
Yeah.
Be pricey.
In my head, I'm just not really sure how melee really fits into how the MechWarrior 5 combat works. I almost feel like you have to press a button that switches to melee mode, and basically, the game suddenly turns into Chivalry, or all those melee combat games, where all of a sudden the whole control set switches up, so that if you sweep your aim from left to right on this and that, you'll actually swing a fist just the right direction and stuff. So all of a sudden, like, you're just entering melee mode, and then you can actually charge them, kick them down, and do a whole combination of melee moves. And that would be that, at least to me, that way you can sort of mix and match the two different play styles, and it could be a really interesting sort of, you're firing at the enemy at a distance, and they get close enough, and you're just like, right, gloves off, and then you just charge in and smash them. That would feel really cathartic. But I have a feeling a lot of people want to have the ability to shoot and melee at the same time. But that's just so many buttons to figure
Well,
out, and two different play styles you want to incorporate.
well, also too, like you're looking at, if you watch the streamers, like out there doing MechWarrior 5, you're looking at, I mean, generally everybody takes PPCs, everybody takes large lasers or like whatever, and they just mount, a crap ton of stuff on them. And then the whole new playstyle now is you're gonna have some type of actuator arm to punch with or something like that. They're just not gonna be happy with the new type of playstyles. They're gonna be kind of forced to do a little bit, but I mean, you're still gonna have, like, I watch so many people that every gun and every mech is a PPC, and that's all they do
Yep.
is PPC people in the head, and they got it triggered just exactly right or something like that. So they're gonna be forced to do some type of alternative type play styles, and it's gonna be interesting to watch. It's gonna be interesting to see what people do.
I quite disagree with that. I
No, everybody
don't
takes
think they're gonna
PPCs.
be. I don't think they're gonna be forced to switch up. Like that's the main thing. I don't think this is gonna be a main playstyle, and I think that's why a lot of people are gonna be disappointed because I see so many expectations being built up on all the usual platforms, and I don't think PGI has probably managed expectations here. Like they haven't come out and say it's just gonna be punches, no kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's all up to speculations. People are putting an image in their head, like, okay, I'm gonna ditch weapons. I'm gonna take a mask. I'm gonna
and the
take the
ninja mech
charger, the
basically.
small laser charger
Yeah,
with the giant mask, and punching is all I'm gonna do. And I'm 95%
I'm not
certain that is
saying
not how you're gonna be able to play that mech.
I'm not saying they're gonna be forced to. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Not forced to actually do that, but it's just different type of play styles they're not used to, basically. As far as
They're not
Yeah.
going
you
to.
know, yeah,
You can't specialize in it, but
yeah,
obviously, if you're streaming MechWarrior 5, you might as well show off the new content. They're
yeah,
definitely going to
yeah,
take a mech that has short range stuff and try and show people off the melee. But yeah, as you just sort of alluded to, Bob, as well, just like most play styles you see when people are streaming, it's large lasers, it's PPCs, it's holding the swarm at bay
yeah,
rather than charging into its midst.
yeah,
And so they'll experiment and show off the melee a bit, but they're going to pay a lot of it out of their wallets to show off that gameplay feature.
yeah.
Yeah,
True, true.
very much. Speaking as someone who's been using mass SRMs for the last campaign, it is expensive to play like that.
It's,
You're gonna have a lot of repair cost.
yeah, true.
And yeah, I just want to reiterate, I'm being very negative to Melee Combat MechWarrior 5 pre-release, even though I haven't seen it yet. And that's primarily because I do want to kind of balance out the expectations there.
That makes
I've
sense.
seen
Yeah,
so
makes
many
sense.
high expectations, and I think so many people are just going to be disappointed. And I think it's really important in these next 3, 4, 5 days until release to maybe tune down the expectations a tiny bit. It's not going to be what you're dreaming about. Even if PGI had all the money and time in the world, it's probably not going to be what you're dreaming about. Just take
You
it a bit
make
slower and see what actually is going to be released.
you make a perfect point because, like, with the infantry, I was pissed it didn't come out like with the DLC. But I was expecting, infantry to be inside buildings with SRM2s and, set up traps and, that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, this would be cool. And then once it came out, I'm like, click no infantry now. It's like infantry are useless, basically. They're just little eye candy. I'm like, but I expected so much from infantry because I use infantry in RCD teams, like in Battletech in the board game, so much. Yeah, I do all this kind of stuff. I set up traps. I set up teams in buildings, opposite sides, so they come by it and they shoot from both sides, like all that kind of stuff. I do that, but yeah. I mean, like infantry. It's just a big letdown. I hope
Yeah.
melee combat's not gonna be like that. I really do. I really
I
do.
think we should just temper expectations.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
feeling is just like it's a new type of like almost like a small laser, but it's going to look way cooler using it just because the small laser is so
Yeah.
piddly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
More difficult to use, but more satisfying to
I'm
use.
yeah,
Well,
I'm on the
maybe you're
fence.
in the cockpit, it's first person, who knows? Maybe you don't even see the animation because it's off to the side and bottom of your cockpit.
So in
Could
the
be.
trailer, yeah, it does depend on the geometry of mech. In the trailer, when they're showing off melee, they do show a jab from the cockpit of a battle master, and you're at least when they're playing it, the mech's cockpit actually sort of swings downwards, so but your vision remains on the point where you clicked. So it does have a visceral feel as your mech sort of punches the enemy.
We'll see. We'll see what happens when it comes out.
And then I think
Um,
final thing we should talk about with the whole update in DLC and speaking of expectation management, we've gotten this whole thing 1 week before release.
I wanted to
I've
touch on switching at
Yeah.
some point, of course.
Oh, okay, switching, go.
Yeah.
Why not?
All right, yeah. So really quick, yeah, switching. Yeah, you can totally get your AI companions out. Though my biggest problem with the AI wasn't getting stuck; it was just the commands would glitch, and so I told them to move to a spot, and then I couldn't issue any more commands. So even if I took control of one of them, I'm still only sending one mech off to a suicide mission, and that was what ruined so many missions for me. But anyway, yeah, I do like the idea that you could have more of a mixed lance, and you're not just if you're taking the brawler, you're not just stuck sitting there watching your AIs flounder around and keep losing locks with the LRMs. It's like,
Hmm.
come on, just it's not that hard. Um, I wonder how far it really goes to like you could do so much more micromanagement now as a benefit that if one of your AI are really screwing over one of your mechs, you could take control and make sure that you're protecting that weapon arm on the Panther or something like that. You can go, silly AI, I'll babysit this mech for you. But otherwise, it's just I wonder as well because this is going to play in the campaign, like with the big battles, um, and particularly if you're just a regular soldier, it would be interesting if you could just switch from to any mech on the battlefield. It would almost feel like what was it? There was like Battlefield 2042 or something like that. There was one where you could actually hot swap between any soldier on the battlefield in single player match, and that was really kind of cool. Just sort of, you could scout out the battlefield in a light mech, and they would send in the initial assault wave, and you would switch to like a heavy mech or something like that, and you'd give the enemy a first punch, and then all right, the enemy are still, they're not suffered up and up. Send in the assaults,
Hmm.
and you switch to the assault mech, a king crab, a fresh king crab, and that would just give you a way to do several waves against the enemy and a lot of mech fighting without always worrying so much about, oh no, my weapon system's vulnerable. I have to be really careful now. Oh, they're draining me of funds. I'm being, being swatted at by so many little flies, and all of these will hurt my bank account. Well, no, in single player, in the single player campaign where you're just a soldier, you don't have to worry about any of that. I really like the idea, at least if it panned out that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a cool idea. I like it too. It's not bad.
I could totally see that being provided as a mod. Like the description reads very much that AI controlled lens max, like your lens max. But yeah, you're right. Would be fun. One question that I have with the mech switching is when you switch in a different mech, there's probably gonna be AI taking over your original mech. And then how are lens commands going to work with that? Say you're in your main
Ooh,
mech
yeah.
and you tell your people position here. And then obviously your free AI mechs going to that place, and your player controlled mech is obviously independent because it's a player controlled mech. Then you switch over to one of the AI mechs. Will the AI that takes over your original mech then follow the command you gave earlier? Or will you have to reiterate that same command again every time you switch?
That's a good question, actually.
That might be one of those tiny things that are just gonna bug the ever living hell out of me.
And does it
Yeah.
use your skill set or the skill set of whoever you took over? Does it switch them or whatever, basically, right?
It's gonna take the of Command Amazing, the
Okay.
skills to
Okay.
play
Yeah.
original. I'm 90% certain about that.
Yeah. That's a good question, actually. That's a really good question.
Because you're not holding the combat and switching pilots. You're just
Well,
hmm,
I know,
I'm
but
I'm a different pilot now.
yeah.
So
Huh.
Yeah, you're
Hmm.
yeah, it's an interesting prospect because both ways would be useful in some respects. Like
mhm.
if you have a long range sniper and the rest are brawlers, you could leave you control the sniper, put it on a hill, all the brawlers to move forward, and then join the brawlers, and the sniper is still on the hill providing covering fire. That would be useful, but sometimes you might you switch over, and then your controlled mech will just run across the battlefield and draw aggro from hordes of enemies. But you're also at least not leaving a straggler. And you're not getting all confused with what each individual mech has its own individual orders. It might be simpler to have all mechs just follow the latest order, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it's gonna be in there, but hopefully they have a AI level controller as far as like make it elite, like advanced and normal type modes. Because like I'm finding that I'm just blowing through all these guys with no problem at all as soon as they hit a certain control point. Like a certain, if I get like 65-ton max, I just blow through everything. Just it's not fun anymore. Basically, it's not hard enough, and I hope they have some type of um level scaler so that you could switch it up to make it harder. They're better pilots or whatever. Basically, I just hope they
Well,
do that.
that kind of feature would be announced, and
I know, but still, please
yeah,
make it
for the
harder.
future, I would totally like to see some kind of difficulty
Yeah.
adjustments. And that,
Yeah.
though, again, that comes back to discussion we've had so many different times. A higher difficulty per mech, less enemies. That would be the balance that
Yeah.
I would like,
Yeah.
and that's just difficult to implement.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But
But
yeah, sorry. Yeah, let's wrap up Mechwarrior 5. You were saying about it being released, the announcement 1 week before its
yeah,
actual
Yeah.
launch date.
yeah. So bit of backstory. We on the First Circuit podcast have always said to PGI, there are two ways to handle expectations. The one is to be super transparent from the very beginning. We've seen that being employed by HBS with their BattleTech game very successfully. Or you go the No Man's Sky route and just say nothing, and at some point you just drop the update and the changelog and everything on the day. And PGI has always been a bit of, yeah, we're announcing stuff, but we're not really telling you anything. And we're seeing it here. That's still kind of how they go. But at least this time, it's only a single week for us to be confused and get wrong images and such. And yeah, I know I like this a lot more than what they did before, but I'd like to hear your guys' opinion about that.
Yeah, I'm very much in agreement. It's much better to just launch it 1 week ahead. Like the thing with like Melee is it's not even like they're doing a huge hype up about it. It's lower on the list. It's at the end of the videos. It's just the community itself really loves the idea of Melee. But what they're doing themselves, it's not like Russ has mentioned 1 month ago or 2 months ago. Oh yeah, we're implementing Melee. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to enjoy Melee. And people just build this hype train that's been rolling for a month, and then Melee comes out, and it's like, oh, it's an extra weapon, and it's just a backup weapon. Oh, what was all this for? But no, it's just they mention it's there, and people hype themselves up, and well, at that point, you only have yourself to blame.
Yeah.
And at least this way, they only have 1 week to hype themselves up rather than multiple years.
I think it's a
Yes.
better idea that they did this for 1 week because you don't have the, everyone going crazy and just like I said, 2 weeks beforehand they have so much expectations when it comes out. You're like, just like infantry, like for me, expecting so much and just turned out to be caca. Turned out to be crap basically. So I think it's good they're doing this. Like No Man's Sky, they have a different model because their game sucked when it first came out, and then it just got better and better and better. But yeah, they do drop like the next day. Basically, he like says, "Okay, it's out. Here's a new patch," and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And so they jump on and go play the game and do their kind of stuff, and I like that, and I like what they're doing now as far as like a week before.
Yeah.
And it was hush hush. I didn't hear nothing about this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
They got
I talked to a
really
lot of
good
people,
traction.
and I hear nothing. And congrats to everybody, man. Chris and everybody, man. They didn't say nothing about this, and that's cool. Yeah, zippy doo dah.
And
But
I'm actually gonna go one step further and say, drop this trailer, the teaser trailer, 1 week in advance, and announce the actual patch content on the day.
yeah,
I'd
definitely.
honestly love to see that, just to see what the community reaction to this would be. And that way you completely avoid building any kind of false expectations. You're just like, oh, by the way, in 1 week, you're gonna get something really fancy, and you see a trailer, fourth taxation war, oh my god, I'm excited.
Yeah,
And most importantly, you get a date so you can block your calendar, maybe take a day off if that's something you want to do.
yeah,
Because you
definitely.
need to know in advance for that kind of stuff. Otherwise, fans are going to be disappointed. Hey, by the way, new stuff dropping today. Oh, god damn it, people. I'm on a business trip for the next 4 days and can't play it. Why didn't you tell me last week?
Yeah,
You're going
definitely.
to get that reaction. So you need to know earlier. But
Definitely.
Yeah, I fully agree. That would be because yeah, just even with this announcement, it dropping just sort of gave a kind of interesting. What's all this stuff? I was actually interested to hear what's been going on because I've been in the dark for so long. But it would be so much more impactful for me if I was like, oh, there's something around the corner, and then bam, it's right. Yep, this is all the features, and you can get it like now. That would be
yeah.
to say, oh yeah, rather than me sort of, I have to simmer on it for a week.
Yeah, true,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, because we're totally seeing the things on random stuff where people are just building up the hype. And it's only a week. It's way better than what they did with the last DLC. But I think there's room for improvement, PGI. And seeing how awesome your job was at keeping this quiet, I think you can do it. I think you should try it with the next DLC. Just drop it. Just drop it. Don't really tell us. Just drop it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But I mean, come on, we're kind of upset about the Comstar, thing on Terror with the wedding, that kind of thing.
No, that was
I mean,
just a
come
meme.
on, Lore nerds unite, come on, man.
What are we upset about?
Oh, it was on Comstar with Battle Mechs in the throne room.
I just saw our
It's a
nitpicking at the
really
start.
Yeah,
cool pic-
we're nitpicking.
It's just a cool picture, Bob.
I know it's a
Yeah.
cool picture, but it's not lore specific. Damn it!
I mean, the thing is, just my feelings is that that it's a really cool image, and that's why they put a whole trailer to it. And
Yeah.
that's fine enough. I just really wish personally. My legacy isn't so much like I didn't play the older MechWarrior titles. I'm come from the legacy of Thunder Brigade, and that is a linear storytelling. Mission after mission, you just play as part of the army. And for that one, it didn't have fancy cinematics or anything like that. It just had a really one good voiceover by like your commanding officer or
Yeah.
whatever. And for me, I just really want to see more of the actual story. Like for me, I'm really interested in whether they can tell a good story. And this image is pretty. Don't get me wrong, you have a good artist, but I want to see some storytelling chops. At least if it were trailers, I want a story trailer personally.
Yeah, definitely.
Fully
Definitely by
agree.
far. Yeah.
Or at least, okay, that would be hilarious though. You get this teaser trailer with this picture, and then you see the where is it? Legends of the Kestrel Lancer, September 23rd, and then you get the final frame where it's like, you should read the Warrior trilogy to get more info.
Oh,
That'd be awesome. Some cross promotions with
that'd
the
be
Battletech lore.
yeah,
It's like,
that'd be
hey, by
cool.
the way, there's a giant universe there for a crap ton of books. You should read them.
So many people don't know anything about it, man. I talk to people, they're like, what, there's lore in this? I thought it was just big stompy robots killing each other. It's like, no, man, there's so much lore in this. There's so much stuff that you don't understand.
Oh, another missed opportunity.
What's that?
Bundling the book with the DLC. Like Catalyst has
Ooh.
been releasing all the Battletech novels as PDF.
Mm-hmm.
You could have totally done a cooperation with Catalyst Games and bundled the PDF for this particular book with the game DLC.
Or even a short PDF or something like that, a short story.
Yeah, or short story. One
Yeah.
of Michael Stackport's short stories and Set in a Time.
Yeah, true.
Ah, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I just wish there was more focus on the story aspect, at least if that's part of your selling points. Like if we go to the website, MechWarrior 5 Mercs, they only list gameplay features. Just saying, linear, there's just mention of the campaign, and then you just go into all the other bits and pieces, Mega City Combat. Oh, we got new mechs and variants, and it's just like, what about the story?
To be fair, maybe PGI is just aware that their storytelling is kind of garbage, and they're like, hey, let's say, okay, story there, but we're focused on the things we're good at, which is gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
could also see that.
Fundamentally, though, of course, if you're going to put so much more time and effort into this DLC or maybe future DLCs involving story, you need to put more emphasis on the story. And you want to, if you have a story you want to tell, you really want, if you have a story, it better be worth be telling. You want to tell us. It shouldn't be something that's just sort of an afterthought to dimension, at least culturally. Why are you going through so much effort to tell a story if you're not interested in it?
Yeah, I mean, oh god, now I'm getting flashbacks to the way they did the original campaign story.
God, that was
Where they-
horrific.
6 months pre-release. Wait, our playtesters want a campaign? Oh fuck. Let's do a campaign in the next 6
I
months.
know. That's right. Okay. What's MechWarrior 5? That was MechWarrior 5 DLC
We
coming out.
talked a lot about Mechwarrior 5. Let's dive into some of the Mechwarrior online news. My screen share has frozen up,
Yep.
but please go ahead and can you take us through the first
All right.
Mechwarrior online topic?
What was that background topic?
Um,
I thought
the
I wanted to dive into the patch notes, just get that over
Yeah,
with.
the August and September patch notes, but shortly though.
Yes. So August and September have huge quirk passes that, just like last time, are just a bit too much for us to really cover. There's a lot of big changes, but there's also a lot of small little incremental changes, and so it's just we're talking 20 mechs each time or something like that. And all the variants of each mech, so it's just absolutely crazy. So just the little highlights, so to speak, to mention in terms of gameplay. Was it in August? We didn't know until later, I think, that there's a few bigger gameplay changes. So what was it? Mistlink's head clan active probe. The Mistlink's always had the active probe in its head. That has been finally unlocked. Even though finally that little 25-ton mech will have 1 more ton to play with. Missile bay doors, mostly on IS mechs, I think. All of them have their delay completely removed. So this means you press the button and they instantly fire. You do not need to remember anymore to have to open the missile bay doors to start with. And they close very shortly afterwards as well. This means missile bay doors are not a hassle anymore, and they actually provide you extra damage resistance.
Yeah.
So they actually serve like as a gameplay benefit now. So
Yeah.
things like catapult arms aren't such a liability. They're still a liability, but they're actually tankier now because they, close quicker, and you might as well let them close. And this is just touching on August, a rebalancing baseline ECM. So if you get a mech straight from the store, its ECM isn't as awful anymore. Like you get 50% range reduction, and the final 25% is from skill tree. So you actually have to invest a lot to just get a 50% more of an effect from your ECM. So that really helps, at least when you're starting out with an ECM mech, or if you're doing a trial mech with ECM, you're staying much more under the radar, and you're not dependent on skill tree anymore.
Yeah.
So very good changes there. They've done 2 changes to Clan Large Pulse Laser, just making the Ghost Heat much more painful and stuff, because they had loosened it up earlier. And along with all the other buffs to Large Pulse Laser, it was getting a bit too out of hand. Rocket launchers have no minimum range, or they have a drop off for their minimum range, an exponential drop off. So they don't instantly go to 0 if you're within 50 meters. They will instead, if you're at 49 meters, they will still do most of their damage. And that's really good. It was really, really clunky trying to get close enough so that you have a good tight spread. But if you get too close, they instantly become 0. This just makes them so much more usable, I think, though the patch isn't out yet. And all of their ranges are now 500 meters. So if you take rocket 20s or 15s for some reason, you could spam them at longer ranges if you want for some reason. Clan LRMs, they're getting their missile health improved by 10-11%. So, yep, they got shot down by AMS like crazy. And yeah, that's more or less it. They've changed some engine ratings. So some Hatamoto cheese had terrible engine ratings, and now they're not. Fleas have larger engine ratings now, so you don't have to take so many external heat sinks. And Vindicators got a confusing engine rating increase too, even though that doesn't really suit the Vindicators. But whatever, it allows you to take Ferro or Light Ferro more easily on Vindicators. So, woo!
Yay.
Yep. There's just so much going on with all the patch notes, and it's just
Yeah. So let's real quick
crazy.
mention we got some mech quirks in the August patch. We already talked about that in the mech preview. Those quirks are slightly more adjusted in the September patch, and we're also going to get a bunch of additional mech quirks, which the Cold team called the Phase 2 of the mech quirk rework, whatever the official name was. And presumably next month we're going to get more adjustments and another phase of mech quirks. And I'll be quite honest, there's so much there. My mind can't follow all of it. So
Yeah.
I only really have to stand out the Eben Jaguar is one of the more popular mechs within the list that we're getting in September, which got some armor quirks. So maybe the Eben Jaguar might get back up in the meta. And otherwise, it looks like it's just a lot of mechs that needed help, and they're getting help earlier than the more meta mechs.
Yeah. Only a slight thing to mention is sort of there's finally ammo quirks implemented this month. So finally, your locusts, for example, and urban mechs and things like that. If you're taking a missile locust, your ammo will be twice as effective. So locusts won't just run out of ammo after dealing 500 damage or so. You'll actually be able to deal a decent amount of damage with a tonnage limited mech.
Yeah.
Same for Urbies. If you take an AC-20 Urbie, those 2 tons are effectively worth 4 tons of ammo. So even though you're a 30 tonner, you actually have a decent amount of ammo with this change. Though ammo skill nodes, of course, in the skill tree are not as effective. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of ammo quirks. The only annoying thing with ammo quirks currently, how they work in the game, is they work just like the skill tree, where if you add an ammo node from skill tree, it adds a huge list of every single weapon type and how much extra ammo you've got. And that's going to be baseline on a whole bunch of light mechs and some mediums as well.
Yeah. So
They
like
need
if
to
you
fix that.
if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see for the Locust 3S, for example, 100% ammo per ton for missile weapons is gonna translate to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of quirks right there, just for the missile weapons. Wait, no, more than that, because all the alarms are, oh god, more.
Yeah.
Wait, no. No, 5 lines. 5 additional lines of text for the ammo quirks. And on ballistics, it's even worse because you have the different ballistic types. So just 10% on ballistics is going to translate to a lot of lines of text. I can't do that
Yes.
right now.
And this sadly means like some mechs that have mixed loadouts aren't going to get ammo buffs for the various types, because if you have a mech that has, missile and ballistic, particularly if it's small, like Panther, there's a Panther that has that. Um, that one, it really struggles to find the tonnage for both weapon systems, and therefore, at least gameplay design wise, you want to make it easier for them by making both ammo types have just much more efficient ammo. But if you add ammo for both weapon types, it's just going to add so many lines to the quirk list. It will be ridiculous.
Yeah, so
So
13 lines for the ballistics here.
yeah. So in the end, they're only adding ballistic for that Panther, for example, which is a shame. And in some ways as well, like in my own personal suggestion document, I said just a universal ammo quirk. So all ammo types are buffed. This means
Yeah.
ballistic, missile, and AMS. So if you're giving like a locust an ammo quirk, that will be like some locusts, they're getting machine gun ammo, but they're not getting Daka ammo. Now I know Daka would be kind of silly, but sometimes some people want to take an AC2 locust just for the lols, and that's not being facilitated by the quirks. I know it reduced clutter, but it's just, it would be fun to try that out once in a while. And even if you like, for some reason, you want to splurge that 1 ton to get an AMS, AMS with a half ton of ammo, it would be so cool if that half ton of ammo was more effective. But I'm not sure if there's even an AMS ammo quirk, but even if there was, it would add an extra line of clutter.
Yeah. So weapon quirks probably gonna need some help from whatever the external team for Online is gonna do.
Yeah.
And we release the introduction of a universal just 10% ballistic ammo. And then I don't know if we're getting a UI person, I can just say whatever I want. Maybe mouse over to see the actual stats, like what
Yeah.
10% ballistic actually means.
Yeah. There's also
That's
some
okay.
talk, at least, like of categorizing quirks. It would be cool if in that list you had them categorized like defensive quirks, and you just had all the survival in one spot,
Yep.
offensive quirks, all the damage quirks in one spot, and then like auxiliary, so agility and sensors in another spot.
Yep.
Well, also too, like they actually had it where it was just categorized them too as in the original quirks that the mech has, and then all the skill quirks on a different color or something like that, because that's just a pain in the ass to go remember all that.
Yeah, or at
Um,
least have a sub menu or
Yeah,
mouse
submenu or
over.
something. Yeah, basically.
Mouse over
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
I
it's
always
a
use the store as a way to tell what the
yeah,
original quirks are,
yeah,
because
but
I do, at least currently, if you have 10% cooldown and you use the skill tree to get an extra 10%, it just says 20%. And I like that because it's nice and
Yes.
just simple. You just look at that page and you see, I have 20% cooldown. Okay, got it.
I
You
don't
don't,
mind. Oh, sorry, good.
yeah, I don't care so much about necessarily knowing in detail exactly what it had to start with. It's just, you look at that page to see what it currently is equipped with. And personally, I would want to separate them out just according to what types they are, rather than separating them out from original quirks and additive quirks.
Well, like
I agree.
I like Ian's idea, basically like a separate submenu. Like I said too, it's like 20%. I have no problem with that, but I want to see what exactly the mech had first before it
Yeah.
started adding a bunch of
Yeah.
different skills on it, though.
It's just basic user design,
Yeah.
user experience design. You want to offer the user all the information he needs, and
Yep.
then you want to give him the option to find more information that he wants. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to clutter the main interface with that
Yeah.
optional
Yeah,
information,
definitely.
because
Yeah.
90% are not going to care.
Because right now, at least, with the people working on MWO, Darren and his team, they don't have anyone who's, dedicated to fixing things up. Because, I remember I was arguing just like, a simple change in the UI you could do is there's a pop-up that says, oh, by the way, you're going to generate ghost heat. And I said, one simple change you could do is it said, instead of it just saying you're going to generate ghost heat, it says you're going to generate this amount of ghost heat. Just throw in the number that shows how much it's going to generate, and it's like, hey,
Yeah.
people can click that and see how hot the build actually is going to be. And I mean, sure, it's not going to be the perfect solution, but just more
No.
information is always better.
Actually, the better thing is like, hey, you better wear a coolant vest because you're gonna be hot.
You better splash that extra money and pay your space 18 T-bills to get one of those fancy cooling suits. Why don't you
Exactly.
just use a cooling vest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The only other Only other things for me is I have to talk about the Hellspawn because, of course, I love the Hellspawn, and they still have not addressed the issue of the fun Hellspawn. Its side torso is being blown off, of course, with its bad hitboxes. They have at least helped its legs out a bit, which is nice. They've tried to quirk it weapon-wise, and I'm not a fan of it because that's not how I played my Hellspawns. They gave it a whole bunch of stuff like pulse laser quirks and PPC, like light PPC, snub PPC kind of quirks. There is an SRM6 HSL quirk. So if you find the tonnage, you can equip 5 SRM6s. Good luck with that. But otherwise, I'm just like they're turning my mech and lots of others into snipers. Stop it.
Yeah.
Well, we all know the direction the Cauldron has been going, which is laser, 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 and some PPC and all energy. And yeah, the theme just keeps going.
Yeah.
All right, then we've talked about the quirks. We didn't even touch about what's probably the bigger news, which are the 2 map reworks. And I think we probably want to save that for a future episode. Seeing
So
how
we have already touched on HBG
Yeah,
when
we
it
did.
was
Yeah.
it,
In
it
the
was
preview, yeah.
teased in the preview, yes. But yeah, there we do have the new preview for Caustic Valley. And for this, we only have really 3 screenshots. They haven't even like flown through the map with a video or whatever on their YouTube because obviously they're busy with Mechwarrior 5 and whatnot. Um, I just personally, of course, Caustic Valley is one of my favorite maps, and just like everyone else's favorite maps, like the HPG and the desert map, they've just been utterly changed up and everything. Canyon Network, that's it. Sorry. Yep. Where's my big hill? Where even are these screenshots? I'm not sure where we are with Caustic Valley, but it looks like a big giant flat plain with lots of random terrain all over the place, which does feel like a lot of the other maps that have been reworked at this point. I know. Have we lost Ian?
I think we lost Ian. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well. Yeah. Caustic Valley. Yeah. I'm looking over the patch notes now, basically, and I didn't realize it even came out next week.
It'll be
Yeah.
coming out next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So day right after this comes out, also.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff coming out for like Mechwarrior.
Yeah.
This week actually. It's crazy.
Yeah. The thing with Caustic Valley and its rework, at least with 2 of these screenshots, there's a lot of these pools with very sharp inclines, rather than the slopes that you're used to seeing on
Yeah.
Caustic.
Yeah.
These are going to be a huge nuisance, like for assault mechs, just because you're going to get stuck all the time. You can't fully take cover behind them. Even if you have jump jets, you can jump up onto there, but then suddenly you're very exposed. So I'm really not a fan of more of these pools. There are pools on the map. It's just nobody ever fights around them usually because they're an awful spot to fight. And I see so many of them more now on the screenshots, but I don't know where I am. It's Caustic Valley. Everywhere is clouded in smoke.
Well, look,
Yeah,
I'm looking like, do you actually have the volcano on top? Is that still there?
I don't think so. If I look at the screenshot,
And they took
like
it
the
all
3
out.
screenshots, and these are just assumptions again. By the side, we don't have a proper preview.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what you see in the background of this, the kind of round open field with the smoke gaseous,
Hmm.
that's probably gonna be the new crater volcano, whatever we wanna call it.
Yeah.
And yeah, as Spider said, I'm not a fan. Like all the map reworks just feel samey, and PGI has kind of been going that direction with the mechs. Make them just all feel samey and all balanced, and now the maps are also gonna feel all samey, and not a
Yeah.
fan of that design principle, to be honest.
Now, for me to speak to why I really like Caustic Valley, sort of it's kind of encapsulated by the second screenshot a bit, where you can see these rolling hills right next to the camera, and those hills are really good. Like there's so many inclines and bumps and stuff. It's really good for light mechs and medium mechs. That if you're like with an urban mech, you could just poke your head out and your gun over and fire at the enemy very quickly and efficiently and duck back down into cover. It's a perfect mech for hill peeking, and I really love that there's so many different angles that you can approach the enemy and hill peek. Like there is Grimplexus that has the big hills that people love to run around, but it's just one hill, and whenever you're exposing to a large, like the next quarter of the hill. So you're usually exposing to a large amount of the enemy. But with Caustic, there's so many different little angles and where you can peek and prod the enemy and use terrain. It is one of the best maps for using terrain to your advantage. And I have always loved that about Caustic Valley. Yes, it has often devolved into like, the NASCAR, but the big thing with that central hill is that the fastest NASCAR is to go over the top. But if you go over the top, you're extra toasty. So there's a trade-off implicit in that decision. So yeah, it's one of the few maps that actually uses the heat mechanics to great effect to balance out the effects of NASCAR. I really love the use of terrain and just flattening it all out and just lots of random little rocks everywhere removes and utterly destroys the one thing I loved about this map and one of the things I love about this game. It's not just hard cover where you're behind a rock or you're not. There's so many little hills and peaks and hillocks that you can make use of, and UAVs are so powerful on it. And I have no idea what the map actually is, but it looks like a lot of that is just going to be thrown to the winds. And every time you poke and expose, there's going to be a large field of view that you can see, across, and there'll probably be a whole bunch of enemies there from a whole bunch of different little hillocks. And it's so sad to see the identity of at least this map being destroyed when I didn't feel like it really needed a change.
I agree. Like, yeah, people were complaining about NASCAR, but this map in particular, I feel like it was manageable compared to what it offered. And yeah,
Yeah, I want to
we
see
set
at
them up.
least, yeah, these redesigned maps. They add plenty of maps and random blocks of cover, but I miss my hills.
Yeah, I miss my hills before we even have the new map. But yeah, we're probably gonna do a follow-up episode in a couple of weeks where we actually talk about how both the new HPG and the new Caustic Valley feel, and we're gonna
Yep.
give you our actual impressions then. Like right now, we're just talking about a preview, and we haven't even talked about this yet. So give us a couple more weeks because we are totally running out of time for today. So let's
Get
get through.
cracking. We have a new free mech event. Should we get onto that one or the
Sure.
sale? Oh, that's an old sale.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's an
there
old
was
sale,
a
don't worry about
sale.
it.
It was a pretty
Yeah.
decent sale if you wanted MC and Mac base. The Hunter pack got a preview if you want to take a look at that. It's a pretty cool video. And there's a new free mech event for the Warhammer 6R, which is one of the cooler Warhammers.
Yeah, well, of course we got to have everyone get more laser boats,
Well, the
isn't it?
6R
Oh,
is
it's
the
got
one
the
you can
Dakar.
do
Yeah,
the
that's it.
LB40 and the
Yeah.
AC40 and the dual heavy
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the better Warhammers. Yeah, good, because at
yeah,
least the preview image it shows it firing all the lasers, and I just oh no.
it has machine guns though.
Yeah, I see the machine guns now.
Yeah, you get a Warhammer if you just play the usual thing, play the game, you're gonna get some rewards. I feel like this one has gotten a bit easier than past ones, where the past ones also only 40k MDDs or kills.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
feels pretty easy to get though, so again, I like it. Free Mag event. These are always great.
Yep, it's supposed to be new player accessible, so
Yep.
don't make it too
And if
crazy.
you play really hard in this month, you can also get a pattern on top of your Mag. So just as always, play the game, get stuff, cool things.
40,000 match score? Holy crap. That's,
Yeah, that's gonna take a bit.
Yeah. A whole month to do it, of course.
Yeah, true.
You have to play a fair amount.
Not too bad, I guess. Yeah, it'll be easy.
Anything else to add?
No, not for me.
No, it's a good mech, that Warhammer. Lots of people love it, so it'll be a good one to give to new players.
Yeah. And next up, Solaris leaderboard rewards are ending. We're gonna get the last season of Solaris 7 that actually has rewards at the end, because realistically no one's playing it, so people have been abusing the system to get a lot of very easy to get free stuff, and they're no longer doing it.
A whole bunch of MC, I think, wasn't it? Like often.
Yeah, a whole bunch of MC, couple cockpit items and flags. And PGI is basically saying, okay, we're not going to put in the effort for these events anymore, and because it's not worth the effort. So, yeah.
Yep.
They're justifying it a bit. Go ahead and read their statement if you want to know more. But basically, no more rewards if you play Solaris. From now on, it's just for fun, which means the player base is probably going to drop from 2 players online to 0 players online.
Yeah, there is, a certain demographic. There is a small cadre that do actually, compete for those top spots. But yeah, it's a lot of work and a lot of watering down your own economy just for a small group. So, and you need to do these kind of changes as well because obviously, if you're reworking MWO, your future is not in Solaris.
Yeah, and I totally see this as the prelude to Solaris being axed as a permanent game mode.
I always
Yeah.
did say that basically they during the time when they did Solaris, they should have done it. But it's a cool idea. Don't get me wrong, but they should have done it. Worked on other projects because I saw this happening. I mean, just little by little, just going away. Saw this happening big time a couple years ago.
Yeah, and
I think
then
there was a lot of interest, but in the end, it didn't have the staying power.
Yeah.
People much prefer playing with their friends or whatnot, or quick play environment, rather than more tense scenario of 1v1s or 2v2s.
Yeah.
And then as PGI taketh away, they also giveth back. As we're getting another officially supported competitive championship series, sponsored by PGI, or well, effectively sponsored by the community, but also PGI. You can check the announcement post to see all the rules. I think on the first glance they look fairly similar to what we had the last few competitive seasons. And I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with the competitive seasons because I don't appreciate that playstyle all that much. But hey, if you're into it, cool things. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you participate, you can get a lot of pretty good stuff. First place gets 3 ultimate packs. I don't know, man. If you're playing Mechwarrior Online on that competitive level, do you still need ultimate packs? Do you still need currency?
I don't
I
know.
know some
It's,
people that have billions, man. Oh, like, okay.
These the comp rewards have always been quite huge, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's just well, it means the people who play comp don't have to buy all your hero mechs PGI.
Yeah. And speaking of hero mech, if you're on the top 500 of the competitive series, you're getting a special variant of the Night Gear, which
I think it's a regular
believe
Night Gear
that's
D,
first.
but it's a different camo scheme.
So in
Yeah,
essence, if you just
camo
play
and
in comp, you get that because I don't think there's 500 people being in comp actually. So you just jump in comp for a couple games and you get that. You get 5 mech
yeah, you
bays.
need
You
to
have to
find
play
team
through to
first, though.
completion.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, you have to play a decent bit
Still,
together.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I like it. That's really cool. This special variant with the CS, so it's definitely recognizable, and you're jumping in game like, oh, cool.
Well, the
That
3
guy's
camo
got ultimate.
colors
Yeah.
as well. 3
Yeah,
colors that you could use on all your mechs.
yeah. So cool things. And if you want to support the competitive series, you can buy the tournament supporter pack. It is $10. Half of that is going to PGI to pay for the stuff you're getting. Half of that is going to the prize pool for the competitive teams. And if you buy the pack, you're getting some cockpit items, a badge, and most importantly, a 10% boost to all Siebel and XP earnings from the moment you buy up to February 28th, 2022. So about 6 months.
Yeah.
Is it? 6 months?
50 MC and mech bay, 3 days premium time, and 100 GSP is actually a really good deal. To tell you the truth, just getting
It's
that.
like the last few tournament supporter packs. If you want to buy it early because the 10% boost alone is definitely worth the $10 if you play the
Yeah.
game fairly regularly. And if you get in late, don't bother because if you're missing out on 10% boost, I don't think this is worth $10.
Yeah.
I think they're
No,
better deals.
I mean at 12.50, that's $12 right there. The mech bay is another 3, I believe.
Yeah, but there
30 days premium time is another 10 or 15, and 100
are
GSP.
sales where you can get more for $10, I believe.
Yeah, it's still a good deal though. Like at least I think.
There was
You
a
know,
time they had all the bundles constantly coming out or whatever, and those could sometimes compete. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is not too bad for me personally. Of course, I already played the game so much. I have so many Seabills
Yep.
and XP. I just yeah, I don't. There's not the long term benefit for me for the boost.
Yeah.
I very much punched myself when I missed out on the first tournament supporter pack because I just didn't realize the 10% boost or 5% what they had back then. And by the time they did the second pack, I didn't care anymore because I have so much saved up.
Yeah. It's a good deal for new players actually if you do get this. I mean, definitely a good deal. The
Is
premium
it
time.
new players who are continuously playing who want to put down the
Yeah.
money? It's a
Yeah,
particular demographic, but yes.
Or just hey, I play occasionally, and so might as well get some extra bonus stuff. And 12.50 MC is not too bad too. I mean, even though like PGI kind of gives it out like candy, but still, a little bit more. It always does help.
And hey, maybe you're just absolutely in love with these cockpit items.
Eh. I can't
They're not
find my cockpit items in my mechs.
Yeah.
I can't
not
find
bad,
them.
but
Make a
item count.
search item. Okay, sorry. Oh God, please! I want to see my cockpit items. They disappeared in my mechs. I don't know which one they're in. I
always
have like
wish, though,
700 mechs, man. Come on.
the most interesting cockpit item to me is always like the mounted one, the war horn.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
there's no real way to tell how it actually sounds or what it looks like.
You can't find them in your
Well, yeah, it's
mechs.
hard to find and stuff.
It's hard to
It's just,
find. Sorry, I'm just.
yes.
Ah! Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
more than an image would be nice, but
Yeah.
they make do with the tools they have available, and they're quite busy.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know, man. That Mechwarrior 5 port sounds like it's on a fairly short notice. That
Mechwarrior 5
sounds
board?
like a lot of stress that they caused themselves.
Okay.
But yeah, we do apologize for kind of rushing through these last Mechwarrior Online topics. We promise to do a follow-up episode soon where we dive more into especially the map changes and probably the quirk changes. But for now, Mechwarrior 5 was the big thing, and we just had to spend time to talk about it. And presumably, next episode, we're going to spend even more time on Mechwarrior 5 as the game releases. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mechwarrior Online, but I'm excited for Mechwarrior 5 for once, and I want to live out that excitement.
Sorry,
Me
Mechwarrior
too.
Online, I know that you're doing a big thing, but there's just a horde of mechs came charging in from the sides and crowded up the whole team. The whole scene.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, I would let Ian there too. I'm excited about MechWarrior 5 again, and I think I'm gonna be playing that. MechWarrior Line pretty much. It's still there. It's still in my heart, but MechWarrior 5 just jumped in and filled that little bit the void I had for
Yeah.
MechWarrior. So yeah.
So mark your calendar next Thursday or next Friday, depending on time zone, as Mechwarrior 5 releases. Don't keep your hopes up too high for super fast modding support. Looking at the modding Discord, it doesn't seem like the modders have gotten any advanced copies or anything to help them put out their mods on launch day, so it's probably going to take a couple of weeks for all the mods to be updated again. But yeah, I'm still excited. I think this next update on DLC is going to be a good time, and who knows, maybe it's going to push Mechwarrior 5 in my mind to be that 8 out of 10 that it needs for me to recommend it.
And was mine 6.5 out of 10 or 6.7 or something? I forgot what mine was.
I think you went down to a 6.5, yeah.
6.5, okay. Yeah. Hopefully make it up to 7.5 or 8 maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
We'll talk more about that next week, and
We'll
we're going
see.
to talk more about our hopes for the future and what kind of pricing and bundles we might expect and hope for in the next few sales for Mechwarrior 5 and all those good things. And
Yeah, definitely so.
so then, Bada Bob, closing words.
Yes, get MechWarrior 5 DLC.
No,
Don't expect much.
wait.
Oh, no, wait. Don't expect much, but I don't know.
Take a look at it day one.
Take a look at it, yeah, day one.
Make a decision.
Yeah, streamers. I mean, I'm gonna get it because I'm a streamer because I gotta stream this stuff. But I'm excited, but I'm gonna try to give my expectations down, unlike I did with infantry. Infantry just might as well just whatever. Just God, so pissed off about that.
Let's end it on a positive note.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
campaign is gonna be awesome, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe not the storyline and the writing and stuff, but the setting and the missions are gonna be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely so.
It's a funny question of whether it should actually at all live up to Legend, the name of Legend of the
God.
Kestrel Lancers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the other one of the heroes of the inner sphere. Yeah.
Is there any stories like in the books about the Crescent guys or the
No.
Kestrel guys? I'm sorry. Yeah. So they can just make up anything they want.
They're so legendary, but no one's talked.
Yeah,
they're so legendary, but no one's talked about them.
Well, they did just give us the name of the actual unit, since they're not called Kestrel Lance.
They're the Sirius Lancers. Sirius Lancers, I think it is. Yeah. Second Sirius Lancers were originally Starleague Defense Force Regiment, and
Yeah, for my final thoughts on the thing is like I would love to speculate like oh I wonder if you're part of the military unit how it will show are you going to be regular grunt, are you going to be in charge of the lance, blah blah blah, how do they sell this as being a legend, etc etc. But we have so little to go on and we might as well just wait till next week when we actually just see how it plays out.
Actually, they do have points at the NAIS, the Fourth Section War Military Atlas Volume 1 has them in there, so they might do some of the battles from that. Hopefully, if they got their lore right, and 3052 conflicts and how they spent the Fourth Succession War. So I don't know. And the Field Manual of Federated Sons, they're in there as well. So who knows? If they go by the Military Atlas Volume 1, which is a very hard book to find, by the way. Yeah, very hard. I have both of them, one and
Keep in
two.
mind they changed the insignia. Like the logo of the unit has been changed from
Yeah,
McNish.
I know. Still,
Don't get your hopes up too high for super high lore accuracy.
I want lore
We're
accuracy.
still
Damn it.
talking about PGI after all.
Okay,
We're
fine.
still talking about the company who did the
Fine, like
McNish
there'll be a bunch of garbage cans that run around, and I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, okay, let's. I'm done. I'm gonna shut up now.
All right. This was with Bob being finally out of the picture. This was episode 154 of the First Circuit podcast. I hope you enjoyed our ramblings and assumptions about the MechWarrior 5 DLC. Tune back in for next week for more ramblings about the MechWarrior 5 DLC. Check out last episode for a really cool interview with a Battletech miniature painter. A lot of cool tricks, many things to learn there. I already bought things based on his recommendations from last week, so check out that episode. And this was Old Bob. Bye there. I think he said a very quiet blog.
Mao.
Okay.
And the intro story. See you guys next
See you later.
episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.